In this video, we are going to introduce the dot value element, and basically with the dot value, the only time you'd ever use it is in a form when you're trying to get information that people are typing into a form. So we're going to continue with document.getElementById. by ID. So I'm creating a form right now with an input ID of username. I just like to have a placeholder on it, so I put placeholder on there. So I'm introducing that as well. I'm also introducing a form, and this is how you create a form. You just type in input ID if you're giving it an ID. And the first ID I titled it username, and this one I'm going to title it password. And I'm just going to put placeholder password. I'm also going to introduce an on-click button on this video as well. So this is something you haven't seen yet, and basically it's a function when you're trying to execute a function on a button. So when somebody clicks on the button, you want a function to happen. You use the on-click event. So button type, I'm going to call it button on-click, and what I want to happen is grab info, and you need the opening closing parentheses there inside the quotation marks. I don't want to call it grab info because I don't want to confuse anyway, so I'll just put click me. And that's normally what you'd have on a button. So introducing a lot of new stuff there, but this is what it's going to look like. And it's got the placeholder for username, password, and the fields there, and a click me button. So that's how you do a form in HTML. Put two IDs on it, and I'm going to use the IDs on the JavaScript side, the input IDs for username and password. So let's start with the function. And again, in Sublime Text, you could just type in fun in a tab. Then you can put the function name there. The function name is grab info. And that's on the onclick event over there on the left side. That's where I'm grabbing the function name from, because when they click the button, I want this function to run. And it's going to grab the info from the other side. And just to show you how you can name variables whatever you want, I named mine Godzilla and King Kong. When it was shown to me, they named the variable username and password, so I was a little confused about which one it was corresponding to in the function. So just to make sure there's no confusion, you type in a variable document.getElementById, parentheses, and the ID is username. And that's the one I'm pulling from the input ID on the other side of HTML there. Then dot value. Dot value is what you use whenever you're pulling information from a form. That's the only time you use the dot value. All right. And we're going to do the same thing with password, but instead of Godzilla, we're going to call it the variable King Kong. And we're not pulling the username. We're using the ID password from the other input tag on the left. It says password. And we're using dot value as well. Username corresponds to username. Password corresponds to password. All right, so now I want to see it in action, see if it's working. So we're going to do console.log. We're going to use concatenation to say your username is, and then concatenate, you need a plus sign. And then the name of the variable is Godzilla. So that's what you type in there, the name of the variable. And then you concatenate again with a plus sign. And your password is, and then another plus sign. And the name of the password variable is King Kong. All right, and it's going from those variables, it's going to pull the username and password because that's what you've named the variables. All right, so now let's try it. I'm just taking a quick look to make sure the syntax looks right, and it does. So I'm going to open a browser, and I'm going to open the Google Developer tool by clicking Inspect, and I'm going to open the console by clicking on Console. No errors, which is good. So I'm going to type in username Rodney, password is password. I'm going to click to activate the function, and your username is Rodney and your password is password. So it's working. When you click the button, the function executes. You would use Michael, and password could be Game Boy. Your username is Michael and your password is Game Boy. So every time you click the button, the function fires, and that's how you use the dot value in the document.getElementById. You use dot values to retrieve information for forms inside of a function. So we're finally learning some good stuff here in JavaScript. Just keep watching and we'll continue learning.